Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Krista Llewellyn and I'm a makeup artist and a makeup educator. And today we are going to do a fun makeup video. So it is spooky season, and one of my favorite type of movies to watch during spooky season are vampire movies. And one of my favorite movies is the 1992 Bram Stoker's Dracula. Just love the aesthetic of that, especially the character of Lucy. She really draws me in aesthetically with her like bright red hair. And recently I read a book called Lucy Undying, which takes the story of Lucy and Dracula and continues with them after she's been bitten and how she's like gone on in the world since then. And so that's inspired this makeup today. I really wanted to do a Lucy makeup. In terms of like education, I'm going to talk a little bit about blood and blood application. Wet blood, blood using alcohol paints, mouth blood, all of that kind of thing. We're going to go over and we're going to do a completed vampire Lucy makeup. I have to prep my face a little bit because I do have a little bit of makeup on right now and I want a fresh canvas. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and I'll see you guys in a second. So my face is all prepped with skincare. I have my Witch Baby headband on to keep my hair out of my face. And we are going to start by prepping our skin. So obviously Lucy is dead. She doesn't have any redness, flush in her skin, and I do. So I'm going to color correct with a little bit of the Makeup Forever red color corrector. And I don't need to put this all over, just in the areas that I have my redness. So now that I have our green correcting primer on, I'm gonna go through with a glowy primer. That way the skin looks glowy from within because, you know, she's a magical vampire and that's just how your skin looks. So I'm going to go with the One Size Secure the Glow. I'm actually gonna mix a little bit of mica powder into this so that it has that like iridescence to it as well. Pour a little bit of that out onto my palette, which of course is a bat palette, just, you know, be on brand for today. I'm gonna go with this like sort of just regular white iridescent. I don't want it to be too yellowy. This right here. I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of that. That was probably way too much, but we're gonna go with it. She's a vampire after all. I mean, Twilight rules. And we're gonna mix. I'm gonna take a little bit more of a dense brush, and we're going to put this all over. So it just gives that glow, that sparkle. So there she is primed, she is dewy, she is glowy. I do want to go through and add a eye primer. I'm gonna go ahead and use my personal eye primer. Eyes are primed. And now we're gonna go in with the overall color. Now in the movie, she's very, very white. She's almost clown white. In the book and like other photos and artistic renderings of Lucy, she's a little bit more of a like natural skin tone, but very pale. So I'm gonna go something in between. I'm going to start by using some of my Graftobian creams. Now there is one which I am almost out of, that of course I lost the color name of, but it's like super, super, super pale. It's actually like paler than I am right now, which is quite a feat. This is probably the color I was when I lived in San Francisco. So we're going to go with this super, super pale one. And I'm going to mix in a little bit of my white. I have this little palette, which is a Makeup Forever Flash palette, except for the white. The white itself, I believe, and here is a clown white. It's either a clown white or a Mayron white, just because I've ran out of this Makeup Forever Flash white a long time ago, and they no longer sell the individual sticks, which makes me so mad. So yeah, I had to switch to Mayron because they sell individual sticks. Get on that Makeup Forever. What happened to get individual sticks? What if I don't want to use all of your colors in your flash palette? Anyways, so I'm gonna go do that. We'll skip with that guy. We'll skip with this guy. I'm adding that to the Graftobian. Usually when I'm doing beauty looks, I typically start with my eyes first and then go through with complexion. For a look like this, where everything kind of has to be a little bit more harmonious and is sort of like all one color, it's not like a distinct eye look, I am gonna start with complexion first. That way I can add this same color onto my eyelid as well. Using that brush that I used for my primer. Oh yeah. I mean, look at that. That looks pretty white. I feel like if I went just straight clown white, it would have been too much, you know? That's something that you always have to think about, is that a prime white can sometimes be a little bit too white, and it's not usually what people use in makeups and things that you see in media, film, TV, even video games. That's the big thing that I wanted to keep in mind when I recently did the Kratos makeup for the PlayStation's 30th anniversary event. I wanted to make sure that it wasn't super white, because Kratos, it's not like his skin is that like prime white, it's that ash has fallen onto his skin. And whenever I see cosplays and things like that, they always go straight like body makeup white. So what I did was I used an off-white color, and on the skin it reads more white, but it's not that super stark prime white. So similar concept, I wanted a little bit of that skin tone in there so that it wasn't like a clown white makeup. And I'm going to get this all nice and even, and then we'll see in a sec. So we have the base all on, and as you can see, she's very pale. She has no life in her. And that's the look we are going for. I think I'm going to go through and do a little tiny bit of contouring, just so I have a little bit more, you know, hollowed cheeks, angular face. And we're going to do that with more of a cool tone, because obviously, again, no life. We don't want any warmth in this makeup. Yes, I'm gonna use the Soft Wisp in the Graftobian palette, and I think I'm going to lighten it a little tiny bit with some of that pale skin tone. I'm going to pop that especially in our like cheek jawbone area. I don't want to do a nice curved, beautiful full cheek. I actually want to hollow out my cheek a little bit more. I'm gonna do a little here, and then also a little bit going down into there, a little bit of an L shape. I'm going to contour my jaw because I don't have very much of a jawline to begin with. I want to shape in the nose area. I think this is where we're going to go with the contour. I'm going to blend everything in and maybe add a little bit of white highlight to certain areas just to like lock in that line of contouring. We have our contour on, it is nice and blended. I want to powder this down, and then I'm going to add some veins, especially in like Interview with a Vampire. You can like see the vein work that's coming from underneath their makeup. Their skin's supposed to be a little bit more translucent. I want to do a little bit of that today, but first we're going to powder. I'm going to use a RCMA no color powder. The plan for the veins is to take a eye pencil and to lightly draw them onto the skin, and then I'm going to stipple a little bit of the foundation color over it. That way it looks like it's coming from underneath the skin and not sitting on top of it. Now I'm going to brush off that powder, and I wanted to do this first just so that the pencil has a little bit of something to grab onto. Sometimes if you go straight into a cream with a pencil, it won't actually go on top of the cream. It will just drag underneath it, and you'll neither get the color from the pencil that you want, and you'll also have a big old scrape in your foundation. So you want to powder before you do this step. I'm going to be using this Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On Eye Pencil in the color Sabbath. And I kind of know where my veins are because I do have fairly translucent skin and I can see my veins. I know that I have some going like by my temples there, which is where I'm going to start, and then I'm gonna maybe go in my neck a little bit, but I'm mostly gonna focus it on the frames of the face, not so much in the center of the face. I usually like to do veins with an airbrush. I think it looks the most realistic, but my airbrushes are dirty at the moment. I don't want to deal with cleaning them. I'm just very lightly drawing on the veins, and it's okay if they're like a little more staccato, you know? You want it to just have a natural flow to it. They don't want to go into straight lines because your veins don't actually mapped out like that. They kind of look a little bit more like tree roots. So think of a tree root as you're doing it, and they'll usually only be like a fork in the road, so to speak. There won't ever be a path of three. I'm gonna go through with a brush and just diffuse them a little bit so they don't look like lines run on my face. And then I'm gonna go through with the skin tone color over it, just sort of like adding into them. And you do have to work a little quickly with this Makeup Forever liner because it will dry down. And they say 24/7 for a reason. So you gotta get on there quick before it sets. Cool. They look really bold right now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my brush with my foundation. Ooh. You don't want it to be too thick and heavy on the brush. You just want a nice even layer, and we're gonna stipple over it. You don't wanna do like a blending motion or a swiping motion because that will pick up the product. You just wanna pat it in. Just trying to hit some of those areas that I think are maybe still a little bit too strong. But yeah, there you go. They're there, but they look like they're coming from underneath now and not like sitting on top of the makeup. Now that we've added a little bit more cream, we have to powder. Just gonna go in instead of with the puff with a brush. I'm gonna tap that in. Now I am gonna put a little bit of extra powder underneath my eyes because I am gonna go start with my eye look. I don't want any sparkly fallout. In the 92 Bram Stoker's Dracula, post Lucy being bitten and then fully turned into a vampire, so the crypt scene where she has the super pale face and, you know, the big headdress and everything, her eye look is like a little bit smoky. It's very like sculpted into her eye, but it's a little more taupey, a little more gray. I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna add a little bit of a sparkly shimmery twist to it. I'm gonna pop it to a time lapse. We'll do the time lapse of my eyes. There you go. That's how you'll see me do my eye application. Okay, so that's the eyes. I wanted to show you guys a little trick for making bloodshot eyes, and that is simply taking a lip liner and putting it in the waterline. This is a Makeup Forever Aqua Lip. This one isn't like a full red, it's more of a nude color. And I might have to reapply this because I'm going to be putting contacts in, and that's definitely going to make my eyes red and irritate and probably water a lot. So see how much I have to redo. But this is the only little bit of warmth or pinkishness in the Lucy makeup is in the eyes, and then obviously around the mouth. But I still want to go with a more muted color, with a more mauve-y than like straight red. And that just like kind of looks a little ghoulish, which I love. We love a ghoulish look. I am gonna go ahead and do some mascara and a little bit of sealing on this makeup, and then I'm gonna come back to you. I'm gonna show you the lip. Yeah, this makeup's coming along. See you guys in a sec. I actually added a little bit of highlight too into my cheek, into my upper lip area and my nose, just to add a, you know, a little extra skin of Killer Bella. So we got that going, and now I'm going to add in a little bit of my red lip. Her lips are mostly red just because of, you know, eating someone and all the blood that's coming from it. But I am just gonna do a little bit of red lipstick in the center. I'm going through it with a NYX little tiny lipstick, and I'm just going in the center here, and then I'm gonna feather it out and down so it looks a little creepy, like so. Patting that foundation brush a little bit over. I have very tiny lips, so there's not a whole lot of like real estate to work with. And it is going a little too pink, a little too Queen Amidala, so I'm just gonna add a little bit of like an orangey eyeshadow to it. That's the actual makeup look. I'm going to get into the shirt, and then we're going to start some of the blood work. All right, now that I look terrifying because I put my hair up, my phone needed to charge a little bit, so I decided to put my hair up, ready for the wig, and I have the shirt on now. I'm going to get going with blood. So we're going to do 2 methods of blood in terms of the blood that's going to be on the face, and then I'm going to add mouth blood. What I'm going to first do is go through actually with some airbrush paint to create a base layer of blood. And the reason why I like doing this is because blood is not comfortable to wear for a long period of time, for any period of time, especially if it's a lot of it. Even if it's a non-corn syrup based blood, like I am using Red Drum. This is it in its little decanted form. Red Drum by PT Material is my favorite blood. This is what I use for my blood effects. I put this on the skin, I dress wounds with it, etc., etc. The standard red in particular is a very washable blood. I can't say much about some of their other colors. I accidentally used their bright red ones and it stained. But the standard red does pretty well. And I'm hoping it continues to do well because I do want to keep this this shirt for like other costume things, and I don't want it to be super bloody, but you know we're gonna get blood down it because that's just more dramatic. Obviously. We're going to actually start with the European Body Art Endura colors. I am using Prime Red and Aged Blood. I'm going to combine those, and they actually make to look like this standard red color. So I'm doing mostly the Prime Red and a little bit of the Aged Blood. I'm going to take my little blood brush, mix it a little bit together, and now we got this nice mixture. And I'm just going to drip it around my mouth and down my neck. It is an alcohol base, so if you've just shaved or something, it will sting a bit. I can kind of guide things along. And I'm still avoiding my lips just because it is pretty drying. Yeah, there we go. A nice drip. You can also do this with a water-based paint. I just really like these colors of alcohol, and also the alcohol will stay longer. But recently I used this technique for a film that I was doing where there was like a blood effect and the main actress got blood all over her face. And I didn't want to just put a bunch of blood on her face, so I used the airbrush, which I think worked pretty well. And let's put a little bit coming out in this area, got some flecks. And you want this to look organic. You don't want it to look too placed on. You want to think of like, if someone's like going in. I think I want to keep the upper lip the way it is. Let's go a little more. Now, obviously, you can turn your head for where you want the drip to go. And if a drip is stopping too soon, you can just place a little bit more right where that drip was, and it will work its way down. That is our alcohol-based blood. Now I'm going to go in with the actual blood, and this is going to give a nice shine to it. If you want to just use the alcohol-based stuff and you want to still give it a shine without having the like sticky feeling of the blood, you can go ahead and use KY jelly or any sort of water-based lube or anything like that will give it a nice shine without breaking down the product underneath. Now, because we're going in with regular blood, I have my water bottle on hand. Most store-bought fake blood is diluted with water. It will be good to thin, also good to remove if you need to. I'm gonna take that same brush that I've been using, and I'm gonna place it right in the corner of the mouth here, and I'm gonna get a nice big glob, and now I'm gonna spritz it with water. You can spray it all the way down. There we go. And this will help to like guide the blood where to go, and it also will flow a little bit more naturally because fake blood is pretty thick. It's a lot thicker than normal blood is, so you want to dilute it a bit. Adding product. This will dry down and it will stay kind of shiny. Water it down a lot more. We'll put it on the collar here. Just gonna add a few little splatters. There we go, that's the blood. Now the next thing I'm going to do is a little bit of mouth blood. I'm going to be using the Mouth Effects blood. This will dye your tongue and teeth as well. So I don't really want to focus it on the teeth, and I'm actually not gonna put my vampire teeth in just yet because they will stain the veneers of that. Not gonna add those just yet. I'm just gonna go through just so you can see like the effect of it, just like that. A little on my lip, like so. But it's really important that you use a mouth-safe blood, specifically on your lips, in your mouth. A lot of the blood that is store-bought actually has a little bit of soap in it so that it doesn't beat up on the skin. And obviously you don't want to be eating soap, so very important. I'm just painting on that lip a little bit. I'm gonna pop in my teeth. I'm going to put my contacts in and my wig on, paint my hands, and then we'll do a final little breakdown reveal. So I'll see you in a moment. All right, here she is, Miss Lucy. It took me so long to put these contacts in. Do they look amazing? Absolutely. I absolutely love them. Did I not think about the fact that I have long nails to take them out? 100%. Here she is. I struggled so hard with this wig. I really wanted to make a full, like, long, luscious Lucy wig, but I kept getting stuck on this, like, really tight curl, sort of like Maid Marian's hair in Robin Hood Men in Tights. I kept getting stuck on that tight of a curl. And then the more I when I went to look at the reference photos, her hair obviously isn't curled this tight. There's lots of volume for sure. It doesn't have so much of the length, so it does look a little bit too like poofy, but I think we're just gonna keep it towards the back. And then 2, a little note for the fake blood if you do need to re-wet it throughout the day. This little spritz, and then it goes back to being a little bit more shiny. But yes, I did the alcohol color on my hands and my nails. Here she is, here's some makeup. But yeah, here's my Halloween look. Obviously I don't have her like big, fun, you know, ruff and her fun little headdress, but I just thought this would be a fun look to do. A little inspired by the book, a little inspired by the movie. So yeah, I'm gonna do a bunch more TikTok videos with this makeup on, so if you aren't already following me on TikTok, go ahead and give me a follow. It is the same as my handle on here, Krista Llewellyn and MuA. I also have a little bit of a witchy talk, and by witchy talk I mean I just do whatever I want and it's vaguely witchy themed, but that is llewellyn.apothecary. So follow me on both Instagram and TikTok. Those are my handles for both of those apps. Go ahead and give me a follow. Also, if you liked this video, make sure you give it a like, because I really need to see what videos you guys are drawn to so I can see what other kind of videos you would like me to make. Give it a like, give it a comment. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.